Mimor as well? Oh yeah, Mimor is really good too. Yeah. Okay, so what is going on, everyone? Tonight, this is a Pokemon that I can't believe I even waited this long to talk about. It is Tapu-Fini. It is actually currently #1 in usage, I believe, with like even 25 or more % usage, which is kind of crazy for any Pokemon in VGC. If you don't know, I believe there's only like maybe 20 Pokemon even that have 5% or more usage. So something with 25% usage must mean that it's a pretty good Pokemon. I gotta say, if you haven't used it before, if this is your first time, it's on 55% use on Showdown. Sorry, I just saw that in chat. That's insane. Yeah, 55% usage. That is insane. That means half the battles you get ever are going to have a Tapu-Fini in them. If you're at the right range, that is. But yeah, this is definitely a Pokemon that if you haven't encountered it, you've tried it. And if you haven't tried it, you have to have encountered it. There's no way you haven't. But today we're going to talk about what makes it so good and why everyone is using it. Because personally, I kind of always hated Tapu-Fini. I didn't respect it. I looked at it as something that wasn't really necessary in a meta. But I think times have changed, and it's something we all gotta turn to whenever you got a specific hole in your team to patch. So looking at its stats, you can see that it's not specifically designed to be an offensive Pokemon. 75 attack, not the best, and obviously you see its special attack is higher at 95. So if you're going to be using it offensively, you definitely use it as a special attacker. That being said, its speed is also not the best, but it does at max speed Timid hit 150 speed, allowing you to outspeed things such as slower Rotom Heats, which a lot of people don't run max speed on, and other things that are slower than 150. People run different investments, so you never know what you're actually going to be faster than, but it's a reasonable speed tier, though you don't usually run max speed. Something to keep in mind. I've seen a few people running max speed Fini, and I really don't think it's necessary, except for one spread I'm going to show you later. So, that being said, some partners that you can see right there on the bottom of the screen, you got Instant, Kartana, Metagross, and Zapdos. Now, honestly, I had a really hard time picking what partners I wanted to put with Fini, right? Because, as you know, it has 55% usage. It's got to be with so many partners. There's so many Pokemon that it's going to be paired with. It's got to have partners out the roof. But the ones that I wanted to focus on were Instant and Kartana, as, not to touch on this too much, as it's kind of a thing of the past, kind of a relevant thing, but Instant Fini Kartana was often called AFK, and it stood for Arcanine Fini Kartana in the past, but it was morphed into Incineroar, because I gotta be honest, for the past few years Incineroar's been better, but we still called it AFK. At least I personally, me and my friends would call it AFK anyways. So if you hear someone ever say AFK, they're talking about either Arcanine or Incineroar, and then Fini Kartana. And if you don't know why those things would be run, the main reason is to have the water, or it's typically referred to as the fire, water, grass. I said water because Fini's first. But it's typically referred to as the fire, water, grass core, which is just wonderful. I could make a whole separate video on that. But that's just know for now that fire, water, and grass go very well together. If you couldn't tell by that being the starting 3 types of any Pokemon game, those types go really, really well together. So I would say that those two are basically, you can put those together on any team and they'll basically be just as good as any other combination. Maybe they don't fit with your team, but if you got to bring 3 Pokemon to a battle, Instant Fini Kartana is never a bad bet. Now, another one I'd want to touch on is Metagross, because if you don't know, and I don't know how you wouldn't know this, because it's like right there. I mean, it's on the screen, and also you've got to face Fini before. But Fini has the ability Misty Surge, which only it and Weezing have access to. Now, I'm not going to tell you don't run Weezing, but Misty Surge is such a good ability that you might even just go run Weezing at some point in your life, because Fini is literally better than Weezing in every way, but maybe you want a different typing. I don't know. I'm not advocating for Weezing here. Today we're talking about Fini. Fini giving you that Misty Terrain, stopping status moves. Metagross's 2 biggest weaknesses, while one is just fire types in general, which Fini also helps against, the other is getting burned or paralyzed or anything along those lines. So Fini not only having that water typing, which allows you to, beat up and position against those strong fire type Pokemon, it allows you to also stop Metagross from ever being statused. So it is much, much, much better than any water type you could put next to Metagross for a number of reasons. That being said, I think Zapdos is also a pretty cool one to put next to it. Zapdos is more of an honorable mention. The main reason I'd put Zapdos even on the list is because a lot of teams will have Zapdos and Fini on them together. And I don't think people know exactly why they're there. Like, they work. Don't get me wrong. They do just work. You don't really need to know why. But personally, one of the main reasons I would say Zapdos goes well with Fini is, if you don't know, one of Fini's two main weaknesses, and I don't count poison. Nobody runs poison. If you don't know, Fini's two main weaknesses are grass and electric. So, Zapdos, being a strong flying type, allows you to get rid of one of its main weaknesses, which is grass, and allows Fini to be a lot more free on the battlefield. So, Zapdos, in my opinion, gets the honorable mention as one of the better partners for Fini, though you really do need to have it as a more offensive Zapdos in today's metagame. Back in 2018, if you remember from back then, Zapdos was a popular partner for Fini, but it was for a much different reason, which we're not really going to touch on. But it's now there again for a completely different one. So now, jumping over to Showdown real quick. What up? I got Facecam on now. So we have 6 Tapu-Finis to talk about today, okay? I don't have EV spreads. If you want to look into some EV spreads, we have a wonderful resource for that, which, let me pull that up right now. Pikalytics, wonderful, wonderful stuff. If you go over to Pikalytics, and I'll leave a link down below for that, you get some sample EV spreads that people are using on the ladder. So if you come over here and you're like, okay, I want my Fini to have a little more defense, you can find one. I saw there was a bold one, right? So 252, 68, 108, whatever. You got your stats here, right? So you can say, I want a bold Fini. Or if you want something that's calm, you want a especially defensive one, you can find one there. So I'm not exactly providing spreads here today, but there's such a wonderful resource already, I figured I wouldn't even go and make them myself. So we're not going to touch on spreads, but I'll touch on which stats I think would have most importance here. So the first one that you have to have seen this one on the ladder. It's the Calm Mind Fini. The Muddy Water, the Moonblast, the Calm Mind, the Protect. It's a staple. A lot of people run it with the Wiki Berry. I do have it over here as having like a Citrus Berry or whatever. But, you know, your berry is interchangeable. Your leftovers is interchangeable. I put leftovers here as well. We're going to talk about that one in a minute. But the idea is, like I said, you got that good water typing. The fairy typing is just a bonus in my opinion. You got the Misty Surge, which is great. And then you've got all these wonderful stats to play with. Personally, when I run this, I really only run like, you know, somewhere between 12 and like 40-some, 44, I believe is the number. You know, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sorry. I'm terrible with multiples of 8. But I only run a little bit of special attack and then the rest in bulk. And the idea is all of your offensive power comes from Calm Mind. So you don't really want to run a lot of special attack investment. One of the mistakes I see a lot of newer players making is they'll run like max special attack, max HP modest, right? That's just not it. That ain't it, Chief. I'm sorry to use a meme phrase in this very serious discussion, but that is not the way to do it. You don't want to have all of your resources burnt out into that special attack. You're going to get... Calm Mind gives you a plus 1.5. So all of these EVs that you have, take them away. You get plus 1.5, which is basically up to this. And all of your EVs can now be in your defenses. So I personally don't really run any bulk or any... That was not correct. I personally don't run any special attack on Fini, or maybe even just a little bit, but your nature is typically better off used in calm or bold, as if you don't know, the highest number will get you the most stats. I could make another video on that. That's a pretty complex topic. If you don't understand it, see if you can find some resources on that, but you know, for now you just gotta take my word. You want to make your, if you're investing bulk, if you're ever investing bulk, you should put or if you're investing in speed, like for Dragapult, it's kind of funny, not to derail here, I just want to kind of show you. Dragapult's stat is, Dragapult's stats, that's not it. Why are you here? Dragapult. I would often run a Jolly Dragapult with like 12 speed investment, right? Because there's no need to put so many stats in there if you're going to be running a boosting nature on a stat that's so much higher than any of your other ones. So that's just a little side note there. Get rid of that. Back to the Finis. So another one I would use is Leftovers. Leftovers is pretty cool. You can run... Now this is where I'm kind of mixing it up. I'm not saying you should run Heal Pulse on Leftovers. I'm also just trying to point out here that sometimes Overprotect you can put Heal Pulse. Make your Fini not only a Calm Minder and an offensive Pokemon, but also having Heal Pulse, which I think is pretty cool. I think it's a pretty cool way to have your Fini be offensive, be set up, and supportive, all in one. Leftovers, Berry, Citrus Berry, these aren't specific for these sets. They are just showing that basically they're interchangeable. Wiki Berry, Citrus Berry, and Leftovers can go on any of these sets, and I wouldn't have a single issue with it. I would never have an issue. It's kind of just how you want to play Fini. I know personally I like switching my Fini in, and that means it usually takes about like 55. And that means that it's going to get knocked out before it gets that Wiki Berry from another hit. So I like having Citrus Berry on mine, personally. Another way to run it is Muddy Water, Moonblast, Heal Pulse, and Madness. Which, if you don't know, Nature's Madness does half of your target's current HP. And it doesn't work on Dynamax. It only does a quarter. And then it does, 1/8, and so forth. But it's really good at hitting things like Porygon, Dusclops, all of those things. It's very, 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 very good at chunking. Because now on this Fini, you run no special attack, and you do half to everything. So why invest in your special attack when you're doing half to everybody anyways? It just doesn't make sense. Don't invest too much in your Fini special attack, guys, please. So that's just a way to run it. This is what I'm running today. I'm running one of these today. We're going to see in those battles coming up later. But extra moves, these are not to go together. But Fini also gets both screens. It gets Nature's Madness, as I said. I wanted to put it again. It's just so important. And Haze, pretty cool. It also gets Taunt. I guess I'd put Taunt over here. Taunt's a pretty I'd honorary mention on Fini as well. Another set that definitely doesn't get enough love, but it's for good reason, is the Choice Specs Fini. You run these moves, you run Trick. It's pretty cool to Trick like a Dusclops or a Porygon, as I said. Fini being pretty cool to extra shut down those bulkier Pokemon like that. But this just allows you to have a more offensive Fini, while also trying to shut down some things that want their items. This is more reserved for when you want, say, a strong water type immediately with Misty Surge, whereas the Calm Mind has to set up to get into this 1.5 boosted scenario. And the last one is a Scarfini. I know, remember when I was saying how Fini doesn't have the greatest speed? Well, with its max speed, if you go Timid and you boost all the way up, you go as fast as possible. I wanted to say that you're faster than everything in the metagame, but my boy Regieleki had to come through and ruin all of that. So you're faster than everything except Regieleki. You hit, I'll do the math. I think it's 225. You can fact check me on that. But that outspeeds Dragapult, it outspeeds, Pheromosa, I'm pretty sure it's like 223. And it allows you to soak things, turn them to water types, and that's another one I'm going to show off, which we definitely are going to talk about when we get there. But this is kind of a sleeper pick. I'll explain this one more when we get into the battles. But this is how I'd run Fini. I really, the biggest thing I want everyone to take away is don't run so much special attack. It's not the move. It really is not the move. You got that recovery. You want some bulk for that recovery. You don't need to be doing damage right away. Get up, if you really want all that damage, get up a second Calm Mind. Just get up a second Calm Mind. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. So that's all I got. Thanks for watching the Fini at Showcase. Tomorrow on YouTube, we're gonna have some battles coming out. But for now, we're actually cutting over to those on Twitch. So let's get into that. Okay, that was fun. Hope anybody say anything useful in chat. Should I be reading back? Nice face. What, was my face not there? It was there. What are you talking about? Did I mention Scald Hydra? Is this a what? She's got an Overwatch clip in the back. What the heck? Anyways, no, we're still here. I'm just gonna do another intro before the battles. I know Icy Wind. I don't think Icy Wind or Ice Beam are good. I don't think I would want Ice. Personally, I do not think you would want an Ice move on Fini. I think on specs, Gleam is better because Gleam is picking up knockouts, whereas an Ice move is really covering for what? What are you covering with an Ice move? A Grass type, maybe? You don't need that. Have a different Pokemon on your team cover the Grass type. Lando, hit it with a Specs Muddy Water, bro. I was like watching your dad at work. I'm so sorry. I don't know what to say about that. I understand. I really do. The recording is a whole different thing, but